What's going on, Bucs fans? Back here again, back-to-back shows. This time, another special guest. Yesterday, we attacked the defensive side of the ball. We're going to attack the offensive side of the ball. Thanks for tuning in to the Pirate Parlay podcast here on the Sick Podcast Network. As always, I'm your host, JC Allen. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, turning on the notifications. Tell a friend. We got banger after banger after banger episodes here, so let's grow this platform together. Appreciate all the comments, all the likes that you guys drop in there as well. I always read them. But we've got, like I said, we've got another banger show. We had Todd Bowles on yesterday, attacking the defensive side of the ball. Today, we're going to attack the offensive side of the ball with Buccaneers' new offensive coordinator, Liam Coen. So buckle up. We'll dive into that side as training camp approaches. We're 7 days away until media access, 6 days away until veterans report, 5 days away till rookies report. It's right around the corner. Football's back, baby. We'll get into all that and more after the break.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Pirate Parlay.
Battle intercepted, picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world.
The sickest Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. It's going to be sick.
Back at you on the other side. Again, thanks for tuning in to Pirate Parlay and the Sick Podcast Network. Your host, JC Allen here. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get him in the building. We've got Buccaneers new offensive coordinator, Liam Coen, joining the show. Liam, how are we doing, my man?
Good, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much. I know you guys put a lot of work into this thing, man, and a ton of news flows through you. So it's great to be on your show.
I appreciate that for sure. First off, I want to give you congratulations. You just had a baby recently. I hope Callahan and Ashley are doing well.
Yeah, life's a little bit stressful at the moment, but we've had help. We've got a great support system, and once this thing kind of gets going, maybe I'll be able to sleep at night.
It takes a village. It truly does. And yeah, hopefully you'll get some sleep there because I've been there, man. 2 under 2 is no, it's a lot of work. We'll just leave it at that.
It's not it, man. But it's I've actually been really able to spend more time with my son Jackson, who will be 3 here in a month, and that's been time that we'll never get back. And so we're pumped, man. It's been great.
So how's the offseason been treating you? Obviously had a baby, got to spend some quality time, which is always great. I'm doing the same thing with my son. He just started football. So I've actually got Bree Walton coming out tonight. He's going to do some offensive line drills with him and everything like that. So
that's great.
That should be fun. He's playing center. He just had a 7-on-7s. Perfect snap throughout the whole thing. First time snapping. So
that's awesome.
Excited for that.
It's one of the first things you tell everybody. Learn how to snap.
Right.
Learn how to snap. Any O lineman, man, the more you can do, learn how to snap. But it's been good. We've kind of getting settled in our house. We moved in June 1st. Ton of projects around the house, of course. None that I can actually complete. But it's been great. We've been able to spend some time alone, and we're usually going to be in Rhode Island around this time, and for this summer, because of having the baby, we stayed local, and it's been great. We've really enjoyed it, other than just kind of frying at our house.
It's so hot down here, man.
Yeah.
But it beats the snow, man. I'm a fellow New Englander, as you are, and I won't go back to the snow ever. Maybe like Carolinas is the farthest I'll go north. I'm not dealing with inches and inches of snow.
That's it, man. Like, I'm in the process. My dad has been a snowbird for 15 years, and he's had a place down in it's called Rotunda West. It's it's an hour and a half south of here. Well, he sold that house and he's moving up here. I'm actually going to see a house for him tonight in Newport Richey.
Nice, yeah. Right on the beach. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a golf community type deal. So I'm gonna go check that out for him tonight. And then but I've been in the office this week, kind of scripting and getting some football ready.
Absolutely. Right around the corner. I can't wait. Settling into Tampa, what have been your first impressions of the area? Obviously, now that you're getting settled in, and
it's been, I'll tell you what, with my dad spending all this time down here, I've never really spent time in Tampa. Like I flew into Tampa all the time, go over that bridge all the time, which was kind of the bane of my existence for a while.
Yeah, that's
But I'll tell you what, we have been very pleasantly surprised with Tampa. I've, living in LA for 4 years and being from the Northeast, like I personally think Tampa is a very clean city.
Yeah.
Like it's clean, it's um it's fresh. Like you go downtown and it's like it's clean. Like it's a clean city. The people are cool. It's great to be in an actual city again, to where we have a diverse variety of food and
Yeah.
restaurants. Dude, the staycation abilities,
Oh yeah.
to where you can just go to St. Pete. We went down to Naples. We've been down to Palm Beach. Like you can't do that in Lexington, Kentucky. And I love no knock on Lexington. No knock.
Yeah. There's always stuff going on too, especially for the
Yeah.
kiddos and stuff like that.
That's
There's always
right.
like free things going on. There's
Yeah.
plenty of stuff indoors for them. I know a lot of my friends are
Yeah.
like, I can never move down there. It's too hot. I'm like, well, what do you do in the winter? You stay inside. It's like, we
Right.
can go to the pool or the beach, man. So I don't know.
Right.
You're missing
Yeah.
out. But
Yeah, you got Dinosaur World we've been to.
all right, that's awesome.
The zoo, and so there's plenty of things, and we've been really happy.
Yeah, it's a great town. I feel blessed moving here too,
Yeah.
with that opportunity and everything. So
Yeah.
but kind of moving into camp,
Yeah.
when you come into training camp, what do you first? What's the thing that you're most excited about when you come into a new season training camp?
You're excited to get back on the grass ultimately, and really to get around the guys. That's the best part of this thing, is the camaraderie, being with the staff, being together. That's what training camp's about. It's always been about that, in terms of, that's when you come together, and just being around the guys, and being around the staff, the building. And it's kind of, you're just working on yourselves, right? You're not preparing for an opponent. You're just trying to get better every day, stacking blocks, trying to get better. And ultimately seeing what this thing kind of comes to life, and what it looks like. We started to see towards the end of mini camp kind of what this thing could look like. And you saw the guys start to get more comfortable, have success. We ended mini camp on a high note going into this thing, which is what you want. And I think the guys are just eager to get to work and get this thing going.
I had Bowles on yesterday, so like going up against him in practice too has got to present its fair share of challenges. I know it's funny because McVay always got the best of him, I feel like, defensively, but kind of you've got that similar background, his tree or whatever you want to call it. But what's it been like going up against Bowles in practice every day?
It's brutal, but it's so it's only going to help. It's only going to help us when it happens in season, because his third down packages are so exotic. He has so many different packages that, well, when it shows up in week 2, well, we've seen it already. We know our rules. We don't have to come up with rules during the week and say, okay, well, we have to block this way. Well, we've seen it already, probably. And I actually did a Zoom with Sean yesterday, and he's like, man, that must be so hard going against Todd every day. He has so much respect for Todd. He's always said, I always remember going up against the Bucs, how hard it is to prepare for going up against the Bucs defense.
Yeah, I mean, you're ready to run one play, and then all of a sudden you got Vita Vea as an off-ball linebacker standing up and dropping into coverage. You're like, that's not supposed to happen. He's 350 pounds. Why is he running like that?
And it's really difficult with what he does from 8-man boxes, with the safety down, the nickels opposite. Either one of those guys can come. You got a run play to the right. You kill it and run it to the left, but you got a corner blitz coming. It's just, there's a lot that you have to prepare for just to go practice, because ultimately, you don't want to go into practice and have dead plays. Right. You want to be able to give our guys answers out on the grass for when it does occur.
And that just makes the whole team better. that
Yeah.
competition between the two. When you look at your
Yeah.
offense, obviously you had the OTAs. You had mini camp. Where do you feel like you are installing the offense at this point coming into
Yep.
training camp? I know there'll be a refresher, but
Yeah.
how far do you think you got during that time period with those
We
players? You had great attendance.
Yeah, we did. We had great attendance. It was great to have the majority of the guys there, and we got a lot in. We probably got more in than maybe we will even do in training camp. Honestly, we want to throw as much at the guys as possible because it's not a physical, I guess, time. Like
Yeah.
the pads aren't on in OTAs and mini camp, so our goal was, hey, let's stress these guys as much as we can above the neck
Right.
because we don't have the pads on. So once we get the pads on, well, now we're starting to kind of see, okay, what is our identity going to be? Who are
Right.
we going to be? So we're not going to just install to install. We're going to install things that we think tangibly we can handle, that we can do, that we want to be, and it's a long season. It's a
Right.
long season. You have to have volume in your toolbox, in our opinion. Like, we might not run something that we install in training camp till week 14, week 13, but the guys that can recall on that installation, even though they only ran it once or twice,
Right.
but it might be something we need later in the season. So, yes, we want to get good at running the core principles of our offense, but we also want to make sure we're giving them enough for a long season.
Right, and you kind of Baker and Rashad touched on that. They said the playbook was so tough, the attention to detail, the intention behind it, the mental aspect. Baker talked about how much it is up front.
Yeah.
And I guess you kind of just answered the question a little bit on the benefits of installing so much at one time instead of the slow burn. But
Yeah.
is that something that you do intentionally when you do install a new offense, or
Yeah,
you're out, in college you're having new guys come in and stuff? Is that something you
that's
do?
right. That's right. Like the Rams install right now in year what 7 of
Mhm.
Sean being there is a lot different than ours. But it's we can't be like Rams year 1. We
Right,
have to, like, that's not who we want to be. We want to be up to date. We want to be Bucs 24, and that's a blend of things from that what I've done in the Rams, what they've done here in Tampa that's been successful. Why not continue to do those
right,
things? Um, but yeah, it's a long season. You've got to have volume, and that doesn't mean we're going to go into each week with a ton of volume. We're going to go into each week with a tight game plan, a game
right.
plan that the guys know that they can go and execute, and that we're going to practice all week. But things come up. You have to make changes, sometimes after a drive, sometimes after a quarter, and
Right.
sometimes, in critical situations, um, things could come up. So it's our philosophy here that we want to stress these guys from the neck up.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, everyone's got ability at this point. It's how quickly can you identify, recognize, and
Yeah,
that mental capacity that to allow you to perform your job at the highest level. So, you've got
that's
some
right.
guys here in some battles. I want to kind of get into those. Kind of what you need to see to name a winner. Obviously, left
Yep.
guard. We had
Yep.
Sue Opeta in there, I think, early on in OTAs, and then kind of Ben Bredesen took over a little bit more for that first team. What do you see out of this competition, and what do these guys need to? What do you see out of both players, and what do they need
Yeah.
to do to win that job?
Yeah, both guys are physical. They've both been well coached at places that they've been. They've got experience. They played a lot of football last year, and it's a true competition, right? Like we didn't see the pads on, and it's so hard to evaluate an
Right,
offensive lineman without pads,
right,
and that's going to be the whole thing. Like who obviously can get removal up front and in the inside, get removal, move people, but also be sturdy in pass protection. Both guys are very eager. They're smart. They've picked up the offense, so no issues there. It's just going to be a matter of really who plays better, who's more comfortable, who can communicate with those guys at a high level. And I think that, we're really excited to see that one play out.
At that position, do you value maybe, the pushing the run game more? Do you value maybe the pass protection more?
Yeah,
Does one of those
probably.
give either one of those guys a
Yeah,
leg up if they're better in one area?
yeah, I think probably the run blocking does help. Who can kind of get removal, be fit on combinations, understand our calls, because oftentimes as a guard, um, unless you're seeing a 5 down front,
Mm,
they're going to slide help.
right.
And so you get the center to help you. You've got a little help in there at times. So, um, and look, you know, with we want to be balanced, right? So the run game, the play action pass, the keepers, the movements, the screens, we're not going to sit there and drop back pass 45 times a game. So it's more the balance. Can they handle all of that stuff and trying to minimize the amount of times we have to truly just stand there and drop back?
Right. So obviously another thing you got to see with pads, but Barton and Hainsey, some people think that the best combination of the offensive line might be with Hainsey at center this year and Barton at left guard. Obviously, you drafted Barton to be a center this year. What does he need to do to win that competition? Obviously, he's got the smarts for it. You talked to him. He sounds like a 3-year vet.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely knowledgeable beyond his years. Making a transition from tackle to center. He's athletic. He's strong. He's sturdy. His snaps have been good. It's just consistency. It's
Right.
consistency and getting up there, making a call, living with it, and just being able to be a little bit of a leader. Like, even though he's a rookie, he's going to have to be a leader, because that's what Hainsey's been.
Right.
He's been consistent. He's been a leader. He's been just a great dude to be around. He kind of has a common presence. Like, they all have different things that they do well.
Right.
Graham will have to um, minimize just kind of the snafus,
Right.
in order for him to be able to win that job. And Hainsey has to continue to play at a consistent high level for him to win that job. So it's definitely something that we have to go through, as we move forward.
And then another one on there, I think that a lot of people are looking forward to see is J Mac versus Jalen McMillan, obviously a 3rd-round pick this year, versus Trey Palmer for that wide receiver 3 spot. What do you need to see out of those guys? Consistency, obviously, but when the pads come on, what are you really looking to see out of those guys?
I think it's a little bit less of a comp as it is more of their roles within that position. They're both going to play a ton.
Right.
So I don't know if yeah, it's a competition, because who's going to walk out there day one and play the Z position? Yes, but they're both going to play. They're both going to have roles. They're both going to, now they do some things differently,
Right.
but both can stretch the field, both can go down the field and run, fast down the field, and both can run some different routes. So I don't know if I look at it as a true comp. Like, yes, it's a competition on paper, but both are going to be very key and critical to our success this year. And they're both going to get targets and a lot of snaps.
Yeah, it's kind of my follow-up was going to be, you got to name it 3 for depth chart purposes,
Right.
but
Right.
there's going to be I figured there's going to be a heavy rotation based on
That's right.
matchups, series, plays, games,
That's right.
even where Trey Palmer's got that true deep speed where he can just
Yep.
turn down the Jets. Maybe
That's
that's
right.
better for this opponent when J-Mac, his ability to find the soft zone
Yeah.
and sit on routes and stuff like that might be better versus. So that's how I expected to go. I know everyone gets caught up on the depth chart and numbers and what, but I'm with you. I think obviously I'm with you because you're the guy making the call, but I think that
Right.
that's what I
Yeah,
had
that's
in mind.
very true. Is they're both going to play. They're both going to get a lot of snaps, and we're going to count on both of those guys to be really important for our offense.
Now, as far as kind of lost you there.
Sorry.
As far as Barton, what's kind of impressed you most about him? Obviously, the smarts, but when he came in the building, making that switch from left tackle to center, and his progression so far, what has impressed you about him as a person and player?
His physical tools. He's got a very strong, thick lower half. When he gets his hands on you, um, at the first and second level, it's strong. He's strong. He plays rooted in the ground. Um, he just when people stop typically when he gets his hands on them. So that gives you confidence that if you get a kind of a thicker, bigger rusher inside, that he can handle those things. And just his mental capacity to come in and handle the cadences, the calls, the protections. There's a lot that goes on for a center in the NFL. There is so much. So for him to be able to come in, handle those things pretty seamlessly, and ask good questions and not be afraid to ask questions. That's going to be key. Is, hey, if you don't truly understand something, man, lean on those coaches, lean on those guys that have had the experience to be able to ask really critical questions that he's going to learn. He's going to learn a lot from
Right.
experience as the season goes.
And that O-line room is so great too. I mean, talk about just an amazing group of guys.
It is.
Definitely have their back there, and he'll get a crash course real quick. Vita Vea, glad you can't see.
Yeah.
They're not going to hold back.
Not
So
at all.
welcome
Not
to
at
the
all.
NFL moment. We'll be then and there once
Oh,
Pat
yeah.
comes on the training camp.
Oh, yeah.
You guys drafted a bunch of weapons for you guys on offense. You got obviously J Mac, but Bucky and Culp, that move tight end. I think you
Yeah.
talked about maybe. I want to get one on the roster, and then Elijah
Yep.
Klein too, who I think for
Yep.
me when I saw him at rookie minicamp, I was surprised by his get off. Like
Yeah.
when Barton was flying off the ball, because that's one thing you look at his testing, you kind of look at scouting reports and slow to get off the ball. But when he's keeping up with Barton, who's one of the most physically athletic centers to have ever come out of the draft, I was like, I don't know what people are talking about.
No, that's actually what our offensive line coaches noticed right away was his get off and was his ability to get off the football and create a little bit of twitch and snap at the point of attack. And he did a good job jumping, kind of jumping three techniques in pass pro and being physical. We know that he has toughness and he's kind of got some Mauler mentality, but he actually displayed a little bit more twitch and athleticism than we probably expected. So excited to see his development and Bucky as well. You look at Bucky, he's a different player than Rashad in a lot of ways, but also similar in the fact that they can both, catch the ball out of the backfield, a little bit of that slash runner mentality. The thing that Bucky does well is he gets to kind of top end speeds quickly.
Yeah.
As he receives the ball, he's burst. He might not be a 4-4 guy, but his burst is something that is exciting. We just have to make sure he can hold up in pass protection and be able to understand the pass protections at a high level so that he can be in on multiple downs. But it's been great. The competition's been great for that room. The addition's been good for that room. And, excited to see kind of when the pads come on for him as well.
As far as the offensive line goes, do you have an idea, maybe a date in mind where you want to get your top 5 situated? Last year, the Bucs went into training camp with their top 5 because you want to build that continuity, that chemistry. Is it maybe 2 weeks into pads? How long do you anticipate the competition's going for center and left guard before you're like, all right, we got to name a 5 because they gotta get on the same page for the season?
Yeah, I'd say like as you go into like Cincinnati week, you'd probably want to have something ironed out and hopefully, you want it to happen as soon as possible. But, even if you have to go basically a couple weeks further, it's okay. It's more the center position that you really need to get ironed out. But I do think that trying to get all 5 on the same page and working together as consistent and as much as possible is definitely beneficial. So We'll see how it plays out. Probably won't put too much of a date on it, but yes, going into it, you'd love to be able to say 2 weeks would be able to get it done.
And as far as Tristan, I know he had that hold in throughout OTAs and minicamp. Have you had any conversations
Yeah,
with him? Do you expect him out there at the start of camp, or?
I do. I do. I expect him out there. And we'll have to see how that shakes out in terms of how they handle that. He's been great. He's been working out. He looks awesome. Um, so I don't expect anything else. But hey, man, support him either way, and whatever happens, we'll have to kind of see how that plays out.
As far as the run game, talking about the offensive line and the running backs there a little bit, it struggled over the years. Obviously, one thing, you look dead last in the league the last 2 years from OTAs and mini camp. What did you see? I know it's no pads and everything like that, but what did you see that gives you kind of hope that this offense can turn it around this season?
You started to see an understanding of how we want to hit blocks, how we want to operate, um, having some diversity within the run game. So we have different answers for how to hit blocks and how to attack defensive structures. You started to see more of an understanding of that. Again, like you said, it's very hard to get on the same page fully with no pads on and see it come to life. But you did start to see an understanding, a buy-in, and it takes all 11. Like this
Right.
run game is not just for those guys up front. I mean, the tight ends, the wideouts, the quarterback has his part in it. So it truly takes all 11 to run the ball effectively. And yes, a lot goes on the O line, but it takes all 11.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily, I think you've probably inherited one of the most selfless wide receiver rooms in the entire league.
Yep.
These guys are not afraid to block, get their hands dirty, doesn't care where it goes as long as it's a winning play. You might have to talk to Baker a little bit and tell him to stop lowering his shoulder and slide, but in the running game. But other than that, I think you're good. One
Yes.
thing the offense struggled to a little bit to find them, they found themselves in third and manageable a lot last year. There's a lot of third and longs due to a lot of like ineffective runs on first downs, leading to those scenarios. How do you plan to kind of get yourself into more manageable third down situations when the
Yeah.
season comes around?
I think it's run efficiency is number one, right? Like
Right.
we have to figure out and find out quickly who we're going to be identity wise in the run game. And if you look at direct runs versus runs that go outside, right? Like direct runs get the ball to the line of scrimmage faster.
Right.
And that's something we have to continue to get better at is direct runs so that you minimize negatives. But while still understanding we have to attack the edge of the defense and get the ball outside.
Right.
So it's a balance, right? It's a balance of inside run versus outside run versus gap versus trap versus zone. And I think having a balance of those things so that when the ball doesn't just get stretched, it's always a handoff to the mid zone or to the outside zone. It's a play action fake. It's a keeper. We have to be balanced in order for us to be efficient on third down. Um, I think you look at going back to when I was at Kentucky in 2021. I think we were like fifth in the country in third downs because our third down and go to like distances were always in that 5, 6, 4, 3,
Right.
that range because we led the country in 4-yard rushes.
Right.
That's the key. The key is the efficiency on first and second down, whether it's in the run game, the quick game, the screens, the play action, the boots. We have to be efficient to be in third, to earn those third and manageable situations.
Right.
So I think it all starts with the run game. Like if we can be more efficient and in manageable third downs, it's because we're probably running the ball better.
And that kind of leads to my next question with Rashad White. What kind of gets you excited about his game that gets you excited to draw up plays for him?
Yeah, I mean, talk about a guy who's bought in. You know,
He loves you, man. I talked to him
that's
like
good.
off. He's very excited for this offense.
Yeah, no, I've been excited for him because we challenged him when we got here. Well, we challenged him to trust and to take the ball and explode through the hole, and whatever happens, happens. And you saw a difference. Like, you saw a difference. And I saw him every day try to do what we're asking.
Right.
And that's going to help. That's going to help us. And then it's like, okay, his talent takes over
Right.
once he trusts the track and he trusts the run and he understands the run and what we're trying to get done. But now your talent just takes over.
Right.
And then, okay, talk about throwing him the ball in the screen game and in the scat where you can free release him, line him up and empty, get him on linebackers and matchups. He's a problem that way. So that's something we're excited to continue to work on and utilizing him in the pass game. But I've been really pleased with his intent and his attention to detail when it comes to the things that we've been asking him to do.
Do you think we'll see some formations with him and Bucky out there at the same time?
Yeah, it's possible for sure. I've done some 21 kind of pony personnel stuff in my past. Green Bay was doing a good amount of it a couple of years
Yep.
ago. It's definitely something that can come up for sure.
And then, kind of talking about as we, kind of move across the positions here, the tight end room is so young. You've got one of the youngest tight end, if not the youngest tight end room. And I
Yeah.
think Otten is really ready to establish himself as one of the really good young tight ends in the league. You kind of saw his blocking improve throughout the season last year, and get to an even better place. And obviously, I think he was just shy of 500 yards and 50 receptions. So I think the arrow's pointing up for him, but the depth is not very battle tested.
Right.
Obviously, Keith has played some snaps, but isn't necessarily a pass catcher. And if something were to happen to Otten, you can't really rely on him in that role. What have you seen out of guys like Durham? Maybe even a guy like Tanner. I think we talked about a little bit
Yeah.
at kind of popping out there. What have you seen out of those guys? And how do you feel
Yeah.
about the depth of that room?
It's a lot of competition in that room. The whole room, we need to do this. We need them to keep going this way. And Cade. The other thing about Cade is he played like 98% of his snaps last
Yes,
year.
crazy.
So that is something we need to improve on. Like, we need to get more depth established. Um, guys like Payne, like you mentioned, Tanner, Devin, all those guys need to they need to step up, essentially, really is what it comes down to.
Right,
There has to be a lot of growth. There was growth shown this spring. Again, hard to tell without pads, but
right,
we need development and growth out of that room for somebody to come in and be able to give us real snaps.
right.
And we're excited about that room developing and competing through the training camp. And but it's definitely a position that needs to step up and for us to go where we want to go as an offense.
I think when you look at the wide receiver room, to me, you've got like 7 or 8 guys fighting for 5 to 6 spots, depending on how roster construction is. One of the guys that really kind of caught my eye so far is the undrafted rookie there, Cam Johnson.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of him, and what kind of does he need to do to kind of maybe to have a shot at that 53-man roster? What do you like about his game?
Yeah, he's smart. He's a smart kid. Um, he works his tail off. He's in the right place at the right time, and he's made some plays.
Yeah,
He's got a great attention to detail. And it just, he got nicked kind of at the end of OTAs as we went into mini camp. So we weren't able to see him as much. He came back late. Um, but really excited about seeing him continue to take the next step. Raheem Jarrett,
right.
those guys. Ryan Miller did some really good things for
Miller
us
looked
this
great
this
during.
spring.
Yeah, he looked
Um,
great.
yeah, so there's definitely, like you said, there's a group of guys that are really fighting for that fifth spot. That you know, really whoever less MAs, alignment,
Right,
assignment, and then guys that catch the football
right,
ultimately are going to be the guys that get that role and play on special teams.
right.
I mean, that's key. So it's a group of guys that are all competing for like 1 or 2 spots.
I got a couple more, and then we'll get you out of here.
Yeah.
Kind of, what goes into the first play call of the game? Is it going to be locked in via play call sheet, or can Baker make an audible? I know you guys are installing a lot of cans in there. Can Baker make an audible if the defense comes out something different than you expected, or is that first play going to be kind of locked in for you guys?
We typically script the first 15.
Right.
Those obviously change based on down and distance and situation, but they're plays that you want to get off because, excuse me, you're trying to present different formations, motions, looks so that you can see how the defense is playing you. I always used to be really enamored with the first play of the game and like it being successful and it being kind of something that the defense isn't ready for. And then Matthew Stafford told me once last year, I was asking him before the game what he wants for the first play. And he's like, bro, nobody remembers the first play. Just get it snapped.
All right.
Just get the ball snapped
Okay.
and get the game going. Nobody cares about the first play. They care about the end of the game. So it was something that kind of resonated with me a little bit, was like, okay, yes, you want the first drive to be successful.
Right.
The first play of the game, he's like, man, everybody's jitters, everybody's kind of eager. Just get the thing snapped. Just get the ball snapped. Doesn't matter. Let's just go play and get this thing going. So,
Right.
it's definitely a balance, though, right? It's a balance. You want to keep the defense off balance, while also just like, man, let's get this thing snapped and go play.
All right. Well, coming back here, working with Baker again, you could obviously he talks glowingly of you. Just on part of my take, talked about how you guys got him ready in 24 hours to play a game, which to me is still one of the craziest stories. And I'm sure I don't even know the whole details haven't even been told, but
Right.
it's crazy to me. But what is the biggest difference you've seen out of him with a full offseason to work with him? I know we probably asked you this when you came here, but what's the biggest now with an offseason work with him? What's the biggest difference you've seen in him?
I think just a little bit of a calming confidence that he's still, like I've mentioned before, he still has a chip on his shoulder. He's still himself.
Right.
But I think he's finally at a place where he feels believed in and he feels empowered. It's okay to make mistakes. You're still the guy. Like if you throw a pick, you're not looking over your shoulder to get pulled.
Right.
I think that's been really important for his growth over the last year. You saw it really come to life the back end of last season in terms of him just playing freely and being himself. And, that's what we want for him. Like we just want him to be him. It's got him this far. He's the number one overall pick for a reason. And he's extremely talented. The guys in the locker room love him. Everybody loves being around him. He makes it fun for me every day to come to work because he's not too serious, but he's serious enough. And when it gets going, he's competitive. It's not just practice, so it's not just another play. It's competitive, and that's what he brought to us in 22 in LA when he came to us. And it's been really nice to see him take that success and that belief and momentum and continue it on and be at a place like this that fully believes in him.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that. Especially, I mean, the contract certainly helps with a little bit of confidence
Yeah.
too, knowing that you're good. But yeah, you can definitely
Right.
see the swagger that and the humbleness, the humble swagger, I like to call it, that he has. Part of
I
your
agree.
philosophy is players over plays. You got two guys like Mike and Chris. It's got to make your job a lot easier when you're trying to. How does that make sticking to your philosophy easier? And how do you identify when you're in those situations who gets the ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's always players over plays. Like, yes, we have a foundation, we have a philosophy, we have fundamental plays within the offense that we run, but in times of crisis, think players over plays and get your best player the ball, your best players the ball, as many times as possible, and see what happens. Like that's kind of what
Right.
our philosophy is, and oftentimes as coaches, we can be the ones to overcomplicate this.
Right.
Let's just let's get them the ball and and let them do their thing. It's football.
Right.
It's not, yes,
Go
it's
to the
chess
Buick.
in a lot of ways, like it is, but we don't have to overcomplicate it. And who gets the ball in critical times? I mean, dude, that's so hard, right? Like even when you design a play to go to Mike, it might go to Chris, or even
Right.
when you design a play for Chris, it might go to Mike, just based on how the defense plays and how the
Coverages. Yeah.
coverage is and how Baker sees it. So all you try to do is put your best players as the primaries, right? Like
Mhm.
primary one, it might go to Mike, and then primary two, the second read, well, then that's Chris or whoever. Like that's how you want to try to, in our eyes, set it up so that if one's not there, well, where's two, and you want those to be your best players.
All right. Got one more than some fun ones, then we'll wrap it up. We've named a lot of guys on this offense, but is there someone that we haven't named that maybe we should keep a close eye on that people might not be familiar with or in
Um,
camp?
I mean, Luke Gedicke's a guy that I don't think gets enough credit.
I agree.
I just don't think he gets enough credit. I know he's still young in his career, but I think he's a really good football player. You just a lot of times when you're not talking about tackles, it's probably a good thing, right? Like they're not
That's
being
true.
exposed, they're not giving up sacks, they're not whiffing and being exposed, and he just doesn't do those things. Like he's
Right.
just steady, consistent. He's worked his tail off this offseason to be in great shape. So I just think Luke's a guy that just doesn't get enough credit, and I think he's a really good football player.
Graded out as a top 25 tackle in all of football last year. I think the Emmys were probably his biggest problem
Yeah,
last year,
yeah,
kind of some of those false starts and
yeah.
stuff, but those are easy enough to clean up, right? So, I
Correct.
mean, the skill is there. I'm excited to see him take
Yeah,
that next step after
I
people
think he
wrote him
will.
off his rookie year, so
Right. I think he'll take
turning,
another step.
I agree with you there. Favorite play call or design, regardless of situation that you've ever come up with.
Oh man. Well, I think probably the choice concept for us. It's something that we've run over the years in LA that ultimately gives whoever you call the route for three options on the pass play. And you get him you get your best player or whoever it is that you call the play for, like three different chances to be able to run a route. You can run a slant, you can run it out, or you can run a sit down type route. And it it doesn't take the play out of my hands as a play caller. It does in a way because it lets the guys go play.
Right.
They are seeing whatever they see out there, they've got to live with. And the quarterback and the receiver have to be on a great page. They have to have great chemistry. And I think that that's a play that Cooper has had a ton of success with over the years that allows these guys to go play and just go be themselves. And it has parameters in it, but it allows me as a play caller on 3rd and 6 to say, okay, I'm calling choice. They've got a choice. They've got an option.
Right.
And it allows the guys to go play. And I think that's definitely mainstay of this offense.
In the off season, some downtime. Obviously, you don't get much during the season, but what are some of the things you like to do in your free time? Any hobbies, anything that you're into, collections, anything like that?
Golf.
Golf. Oh, you
Yeah.
came to the right state for it.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. I'm a golfer. Haven't played much, but it's definitely probably my main hobby. We've traveled. I went to Ireland last summer and
oh,
played.
nice.
Going to Scotland next summer and playing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm a golfer. It's kind of what I do when I have a little bit of off time. Um, Obviously documentaries, love to watch, movies, shows with my wife. But I'm a golfer.
You've been watching the Hard Knocks, the Giants one.
I watched the first episode. Yep.
And pretty good.
I just finished the Receiver documentary on
That was good.
Netflix.
That was good. I
So
want them to do O line, man. They're
that'll be cool.
they're so much fun.
That'll be cool.
I wanted to bring up a few things because I think I think we might have had some overlap when you were at the zoo, when you were at
Yep.
UMass, because you were there from what? Oh,
4 to 08.
04 to 08. So
Yep.
my buddy went there starting in 05. So I
Okay.
went down there in for St. Patrick's Day for the Blarney blowout,
Oh yeah.
the zoo, and like yeah, I mean they call it ZooMass for a reason, but I mean
For a
obviously
reason.
then they started knocking down frat row and it kind of like
Yep.
changed a lot of things. But I was like thinking about it, time frame. I'm like, we were probably there at the same time, which
There's
is
no
crazy.
doubt.
What do
There's
you
no doubt.
what do you miss most about New England?
I miss hoodie weather.
Yeah.
I miss fall. I miss like autumn. I miss hoodie weather. I miss good pizza.
Pizza,
Um,
yes.
I
Chinese
miss
food.
Antonio's up in Amherst. Um, you know, probably like obviously I'm from Rhode Island, so love like summers in New England
Yeah.
as
They're
well
great.
because you're not getting beat on, and I don't enjoy sweating and I don't enjoy the heat. So but I'm getting used to it. I'm
It
getting used
takes
to it.
time. And then
But
you're never used to it, so it does
yeah, I
take time.
know.
I've been here for
No.
5 years. I'm still not used to it. It's
Dude, I'll
just
tell you one
brutal.
thing that Florida has that the Northeast has is we have like Northeast drivers down here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Get out of
Like,
our way. Like we're
dude,
aggressive.
people are
Like
driving down here. Driving.
I-4 is crazy, man. They're doing like
Nuts.
100 miles an hour. You're like,
Nuts.
"Jeez, what are
My
we
wife
doing,
gets a
man?"
little nervous. I'm like, look, this is like Boston, New York. Like this
All
is
right, we're good
just
here.
like the Northeast. So I'm good with it. People are moving, which I like.
I miss the landscape a little bit too. Sometimes
Yeah.
Dade City's up 75. It's got some rolling hills and stuff that I'll drive to whenever I'm feeling a little homesick. But the
Yes.
food too is a big thing. There's a few
Food.
spots. There's the greatest catch on 41 is New England style seafood, like the batter and like
Okay.
the fisherman platters and stuff.
Good.
And I found a spot in Wesley Chapel called Marcello's. It's like an
Oh yeah.
Italian deli bakery, and they have
Ooh.
steak tips that they fly in from Boston because they don't know what steak tips are down here.
All
I'm like, you
right.
guys are missing out on a delicacy, but
Marcello's is called.
yeah, Marcella, I'll text it to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Please. I'm looking for as many of those as possible.
yeah, so there's a few good Boston style restaurants and stuff like
All right.
that. There's ABC Pizza's got like that Greek pizza that we
Oh,
don't have
good.
down here. So
Yeah.
there's some good ones. Some rapid
Good.
fire questions real quick, then we'll wrap this up.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna say one or the other, and then I'll ask you a favorite and just spout off real
Yeah.
quick. Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Okay. Have you been
I
playing any
have a
NCAA?
Well, I have a PS5 up in my uh, room up there, and it's in the box. That it was supposed to be for college kids to come over and play, but I'm not in college anymore, so we're actually looking to donate it. So
Okay.
I'm going to donate that. I have not played it. I've seen some of the graphics for the new NCAA, and it looks
Right.
sick. Looks awesome. I was an NCAA guy, so I'm happy that it's back.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Who's your favorite hero?
I don't know. Is Batman Marvel?
He's DC.
He's
That's fine.
DC.
Marvel's the better brand, but I think DC's got some of the better heroes.
Dude, I love What's Deadpool in?
Deadpool's Marvel. He's got the
Yeah,
movie coming out soon. I can't wait for that.
excited. So I went to the movies last night. We went and saw Twisters.
Okay, how was that?
It was all right. It was solid. But
Sound like
they
a
showed the new Deadpool with Wolverine. Looks cool. My
love it.
son's into Bat Wheels right now,
Okay.
so I might have to switch to DC and say Batman.
Okay, that's fine. Batman's good, man. The new Batman movie was good. It's
Yeah, it
actually, I
was.
think, the 20th year, 16th, so whatever year it is, anniversary of The Dark Knight today. So,
Is it?
I have to put that on later tonight.
Yeah, dude, that's a great
That's
one.
that's
Great one.
amazing. Rip Heath Ledger, he was amazing.
Yes. R.I.P.
City or country guy?
Ooh.
Kind of grew up in the city, played in the country at Amherst, played in
I
the
know.
city in LA, the country in
I
Lexington.
know. I'm
Back in the city.
probably, I gotta say, probably still city.
Yeah, it's convenient. I
Yeah.
want to drive an hour to go somewhere and
No,
get some
I mean, I
food.
loved Lexington, but
Nice and
dude,
quiet.
It was, and we lived in the country, man. Like we had 5 acres. We were in the country, but I did get bored at times.
All right. There's always stuff going on in the city. Car
Yeah,
or truck?
SUV.
Hey, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah,
Give me the combination.
yeah.
You're more of a movie guy or a TV series?
Oh, movie,
What's your favorite
movie.
movie?
For Love of the Game,
That's a good one.
Kevin Costner.
Favorite artist, like musically
Mm.
or
I
band, I
was a
guess.
huge Morgan Wallen fan until he canceled recently when I was
Oh,
supposed
were
to
you
go to the concert.
no, you should have went the night before.
I know, I know. We had suite, we had it all set up. We were going with a group of friends, and it canceled, and I was pretty ticked off. So, but I'll stay true. I'm a huge Morgan Wallen fan.
October 4th is a Friday, though.
Yeah,
That's
we're gonna
your
still
schedule.
go because
You can still
it's
go.
after a Thursday night game.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah,
the Falcons game is at
yeah.
perfect. That
So we're
worked
still
out.
going.
Thanks, Morgan.
It did work out. It worked
Thanks for
out.
picking a good date. Did you try to go to that Jelly Roll concert at Dallas?
I
Whatever.
didn't try to go. It was like,
That
no,
was,
I'm not
yeah,
doing all that.
not dealing with all that. Who's your favorite sports team growing up?
Oh, the Cowboys.
Boys in Rhode Island.
Well, here's the thing. I was a huge Emmitt Smith fan
Okay, I got that.
and named my dog Emmett. But grew up going to Gillette, going to Foxborough,
Right.
going to Celtics games, Red Sox games. So, you know, I was really young, like Dallas. As I got older, it became Patriots.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, Dallas when we were growing up was like
it was
the team.
I'm talking like
Yeah.
92 to
That was the
96.
first Super Bowl I ever remember watching. I think they had the
Yeah,
Indiana Jones halftime show or something like
that's
that. Like
right.
it was,
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean, that's the first football game
Yep.
I ever remember watching was the Dallas
Yeah.
Cowboys.
So like that's what I was into at the time. And so it's hard to say, but
That's fair.
I became a Brady fan.
I missed him by 2 years.
Yep.
Um, Favorite place you've ever visited?
Ooh. Adair Manor in Ireland.
Ireland's on my bucket list. I want to visit the home
Yeah.
country.
So far,
Uh,
but I still haven't done much of Europe and need to we're doing a Europe trip next summer.
that's perfect. Europe, you got to have like at least 2 to 3 weeks to jump
Yeah.
around. I
We're
feel
gonna
like
do Scotland and then I'm gonna go meet my wife in London and we're gonna go down to Italy probably.
perfect.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Classic answer. Favorite cereal?
Yeah.
Do so much with pizza.
Cereal.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna have it, which I don't often, CT Crunch.
Yeah, it's the best, and it's better at night too, for whatever
It
reason in the world.
100%.
I don't know why.
100%. It
I'll never
is.
eat cereal. I don't think the last time I remember I can ate
Nope.
cereal during the morning. It's always
Yep.
been at night.
It is.
Favorite game you've ever watched? Any
Oh
game,
man.
doesn't matter what sport. That had you
Could,
like, oh my god,
could
what
I
did I
have been
just do?
coaching in it or no?
You could have been coaching in it. Yeah, I guess. I'm gonna ask that later, but
The Rams Chiefs Monday night game
that was
in
crazy.
2018.
You guys, that
was the coolest game I've ever and I felt like I was watching it, not coaching in it.
had the outer body experience
Yeah,
there.
Sean did not need much of our help that night, and the guys were. I mean, it was magical. It was unbelievable.
That was a great game. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite TV show?
Ooh, of all time,
Yeah,
Game of Thrones.
yeah. It's awesome. You watching House of Dragons?
I do.
That's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good, man.
Yeah.
That the episode 4 was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
it was.
It was right up there
Yeah.
with some of the best Game
Yeah.
of Thrones.
Oh,
Favorite sports memory?
Mm. Ooh, winning the NFC Championship game in New Orleans.
Okay.
That was
A lot of controversy around that
dude,
game.
a lot of controversy. But like the you guys don't even understand how loud it was in that place. Jared's mic went out multiple times. Like it was, we come back. The field goals that we kicked in that game were just. I mean, I remember us winning, and I'm like, I'm in our assistant O-line coaches, Andy Dickerson, who's now the O-line coach for the Browns. I am in his arms, full body, like jumped into him, and he is holding me up. I'm not like that small. So that was definitely my that was the funnest game, like aside from the Chiefs game.
Favorite dessert?
Ooh, Oreos.
Oreos are the best.
Yeah.
Double stuff or regular?
Double.
Gotta be the double.
I'm into the peanut butter ones.
Yeah, I'll have to try those. If you put a double stuff and a double stuff, because a double, does it become a double stuff or a
Yeah.
quadruple stuff? Which
Ooh,
one?
it's double. I like the double.
Double stuff. I agree
Yeah.
with you. Favorite season?
Fall.
Fall's the best, especially
Yeah.
up north. Fall's
Yeah.
nothing beats up north falls.
No.
Fall down here, it's still hot as hell. That's why y'all wearing the white uniforms for the first
Seriously.
3 games of the season.
Seriously. Oh.
Favorite play growing up? Emmitt Smith. I'm assuming
It was Emmett, and then Jordan. I was a huge basketball fan, big time Bulls fan. I mean, if I had to really put my favorite athlete growing up, it was Jordan.
Favorite last one here. Favorite game it's a two-parter. Favorite game you played in, because you are a collegiate athlete yourself.
Yeah.
And the favorite game you ever coached.
Okay, we beat Montana in 2006 in the national semifinal game at Montana. Not an easy place to play at all. We go into Montana, hand them their first ever home playoff loss. That was it. And then the Chiefs-Rams Monday night game.
Yeah, that's great. You play with Victor, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a fun
well, I just played golf. I just golfed with him 3 weeks ago. A couple weeks ago down in Sarah Bay.
Nice.
Sarah Bay, down in like Bradenton area.
You got a couple other good players on that team. That was a fun team to watch back
Brandon
then.
London, James Ahedebo played 10 years.
Yes, Ahedebo, yeah.
Yep. He played 10 years in the league.
Ended up playing for the Patriots too.
Yep, played for the Patriots, the Jets, the Ravens, the Lions.
Yeah.
And then who else? Vlad Dukas.
Yes.
Played a bunch of years in the NFL as well.
With the Jets, I think he started with.
Yep, Jets and then the Bills.
Yeah, he was good.
Yep.
That was a good team. That's a good team you guys had there.
It was. We had a really good team.
You beat Montana there.
Yeah.
But, Coach, that's gonna do it. I appreciate your time, man. Any thing you want to promote? Any the Bucs before training camp? Anything you want to last words?
I just I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the following so far and the community, and it's been a really supportive place so far. We've loved it, and I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you next week, man. Have a great. Tell Ashley I'm sorry for keeping you so long.
It's all good.
Have a good one.
It's all good. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You guys have it. Liam Coen, offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, had Todd Bowles on yesterday. Go check that out. Got the offensive perspective. A lot of good stuff in there. I'm really excited about what this offense can do if it can all come together. So should be a good season for the Buccaneers if everything that comes together the way this team wants it to. But some interesting notes there. Expects Tristan to go. Bowles yesterday wasn't sure. But he expects Wirfs to go, so that's interesting. So a lot of good stuff on some of those battles that are going to happen. Again, like I said, I kind of think that wide receiver 3 is being a little blown out of proportion. Both of those guys are going to play, kind of confirm that too, a bunch kind of based on scheme. But there will be an official 3 for the depth chart. But I thought that was a great podcast with him. Happy to have him on. Happy to continue to give you guys this access to coaches and players, and we'll get some more lives on here so you guys can definitely jump in and ask questions and stuff like that. But that's going to do it here at Pirate Parlay and the Sick Podcast Network. Again, I'm your host, JCL. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, turning on reminders. Tell a friend, tell your family, retweet it, share it on Facebook, whatever you got to do. Let's get the subscriber count up because, again, I'm the only place here consistently giving you guys players and coaches access. And you go through the history, it's all just players and coaches and great insight from great professionals. So excited to continue that. Got some great things in store for this season coming up. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. we'll be back here next week, probably previewing training camp. We'll figure that out. Maybe with a player. Who knows? You never know what's going on in here. Never know what rabbits I'm going to pull out of my hat. But that's going to do it for us. Again, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Pirate Parlay here on the Sick Podcast Network. We're out. Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Pirate Parlay on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.